What's up, YouTube? Today we've got a mind-blowing matchup lined up for you. Superman versus Sun Wukong. We're talking about the Man of Steel taking on the legendary Monkey King. And trust me, this is going to be one for the ages. Two iconic figures, each with powers that push the limits of what's possible, going head-to-head in a battle that's going to leave you speechless. Let's dive into this epic showdown.
Go ahead and give the audience a brief introduction of each character.
All right, let's set the stage. Superman. First up, we've got Superman, the Man of Steel. He's the ultimate symbol of hope, with powers that include super strength, speed, flight, heat vision, and near invulnerability. He's taken on the toughest villains in the DC universe, from Darkseid to Doomsday, and come out on top. Superman draws his power from Earth's yellow sun, making him one of the most powerful beings in existence. Whether it's lifting planets or flying faster than the speed of light, Superman is the epitome of superhero might. Sun Wukong. And then we've got Sun Wukong, the legendary Monkey King from Chinese mythology. This guy isn't just powerful, he's got divine strength, immortality, and a bag of tricks that would make even the craftiest gods think twice. He wields a magical staff that can change size at will, can transform into anything he desires, and has an array of mystical abilities that include creating clones of himself and controlling the elements. Sun Wukong has faced off against the armies of heaven and come out victorious, making him one of the most formidable figures in myth. So Johnny, after hearing about these two legends, who do you think would win in this epic showdown?
Well, since Superman's vulnerable against magic, it's pretty obvious, right? But what if he wasn't? Can you remove that from the equation?
I see where you're going with this, Johnny. If we remove Superman's vulnerability to magic, that changes the dynamic of the fight quite a bit. Without that Achilles heel, Superman's raw power and abilities are fully unleashed, and we'd be looking at a more balanced battle between sheer strength and cunning trickery. So let's set the stage again, this time with Superman's magic weakness out of the equation. Now it's all about who's got the edge in strength, speed, durability, and strategy. Superman's back to being the nearly invincible powerhouse we know, and Sun Wukong's gotta rely on more than just magic to take him down. Given that, does this change your opinion on who might take the win? Or do you still think Wukong has what it takes to outmaneuver the Man of Steel?
Okay, so I still can't make a decision if magic is not the factor, so let's go over their feats, but pause in between just in case I want to say something.
Sounds good, Johnny. We'll break down their feats one by one, and I'll pause after each to give you a chance to jump in. Let's dive in. Strength feats. Superman. Superman's strength is legendary across all of DC Comics. He's bench pressed the weight of the Earth for 5 days straight without breaking a sweat. In some stories, he's been shown to lift entire planets, move moons, and even hold miniature black holes in his hands. There's also that time he shattered reality itself with a punch strong enough to break through the barriers of the fifth dimension. What do you think so far, Johnny? Pretty insane, right?
Get out of here. He bench pressed the weight of the Earth.
Yeah, it's wild, right? Superman's feats often teeter on the edge of what even makes sense in the realm of comic book physics. The guy's bench pressing the Earth like it's just another day at the gym. And that's just one of the many times DC has amped up his strength to ridiculous levels. But let's keep going and see how Sun Wukong stacks up. Ready to hear what the Monkey King brings to the table?
Let's do it.
All right, let's check out what Sun Wukong can do. Sun Wukong's strength feats. Sun Wukong. The Monkey King's strength is just as legendary, but in a more mythological sense. He once lifted the Mount of Flowers and Fruit, which is essentially a mountain, and carried it like it was nothing. His most iconic weapon, the Rui Jingu Bang, is a magical staff that weighs 17,550 pounds, and Wukong swings it around with ease. He's also been shown to hold up the Heavenly Pillar, basically the axis of the universe, preventing the collapse of the heavens themselves. His strength isn't just physical, it's tied to his mystical nature, giving him power that defies normal limits. How does Wukong's strength measure up in your book, Johnny?
Well, I was going to give it to Superman until you told us about the Heavenly Pillar.
Yeah, the Heavenly Pillar feat is next level, isn't it? It's like Wukong's strength is on a divine scale, literally holding up the universe. That kind of feat definitely puts him in Superman's league, if not giving him an edge in terms of sheer mythological might. It's a tough call between comic book physics and mythological power, but Wukong definitely isn't outclassed here. Let's keep going and break down their speed next. Ready to dive into how fast these two can move?
Yep.
All right, let's dive into the speed feats for these two powerhouses. Speed feats. Superman. When it comes to speed, Superman is no slouch. He's been clocked at speeds that surpass light itself, and in some instances, he's flown across entire galaxies in just a few seconds. He's even outrun the Flash, one of the fastest beings in the DC universe, on a few occasions. And let's not forget the infamous moment where he flew around the Earth so fast that he reversed time. His reflexes are equally impressive, dodging attacks from beings who move at light speed or faster. Pretty insane speed on Superman's part, right? What do you think so far?
Flew across galaxies in seconds. Who writes this? And if Superman can move so fast, how does he even get hit in a fight? He should be washing everyone.
I know, right? Some of these feats are just on another level of wild. DC's writers really go all out when it comes to showcasing Superman's abilities. As for how he gets hit, well, that's the big question. With speed like that, you'd think he'd be untouchable. But comic book logic sometimes takes a back seat to the drama of the story, so villains manage to land hits, often through sneak attacks, overwhelming numbers, or, let's be honest, just plain plot convenience. But now that we've wrapped our heads around Superman's speed, let's see how Sun Wukong measures up. Ready to hear about the Monkey King's speed feats?
All right, let's see all the crazy stuff he's done.
All right, let's dive into the crazy speed feats of Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong's speed feats. Sun Wukong. The Monkey King's speed is legendary in its own right, though it's wrapped up in myth and magic. He's famous for his cloud somersault, a technique that lets him travel 108,000 li in a single leap. That's about 34,000 miles. Essentially, Wukong can leap across the world in an instant, but that's not all. His reflexes are off the charts. He's dodged attacks from gods and demons alike, moving faster than the eye can see. And when it comes to agility, Wukong can transform or shapeshift to avoid attacks, making him incredibly hard to pin down. What do you think, Johnny? Wukong's speed might not be as straightforward as Superman's, but it's definitely up there in terms of mythical craziness.
Yeah, in my opinion, Superman destroys him in the speed category.
I'm with you on that one, Johnny. When it comes to raw speed, especially with feats like flying across galaxies in seconds and outrunning the Flash, Superman has a clear edge. Wukong's speed is impressive, especially with his mystical leaps and dodging abilities, but Superman's sheer velocity is in a league of its own. Alright, so Superman takes the lead in speed. Let's move on to durability and see how these two stack up in terms of how much punishment they can take. Ready to dive in?
Of course.
Alright, let's break down their durability feats and see who's tougher. Durability feats. Superman. Superman's durability is the stuff of legends. He's survived being at the center of supernovas, withstood the force of black holes, and tanked hits that could level planets. In one story, he fought for days on end without rest, enduring blows that would obliterate just about anyone else. He can absorb solar energy to heal rapidly, making him nearly impossible to keep down. There's even that time he survived the detonation of a bomb that was powerful enough to destroy an entire solar system, barely breaking a sweat. Superman's durability is off the charts. How are you feeling about this so far?
All right, I need a reference for that solar system bond, because that's just dumb. All of it's dumb, but this really sticks out to me for some reason.
Totally get where you're coming from, Johnny. Some of these feats really push the boundaries of what makes sense, even in comic book terms. The solar system bomb feat comes from the storyline Our Worlds at War, 2001. In this arc, Superman is involved in a massive conflict against an entity called Imperiex, a cosmic being who essentially embodies entropy. Imperiex creates a weapon called the Entropy Aegis, which is so powerful it has the potential to destroy an entire solar system. Superman, alongside other heroes, fights against this force, and he endures the explosion of this weapon. While it's a collective effort, Superman's resilience is showcased as being able to withstand and survive the catastrophic energy unleashed. Yeah, it's pretty over the top, but that's par for the course with Superman's most extreme feats. How are you feeling about his durability now that we've tackled that one? Ready to see how Wukong compares?
Sure, why not? My head's already hurting.
I feel you, Johnny. These feats can definitely be head spinners. Let's see how Wukong's durability stacks up, and we'll try not to make your brain explode in the process. Sun Wukong's durability feats. Sun Wukong. Wukong's durability is less about raw physical resilience and more about his mystical nature. He's been granted multiple forms of immortality. Literally, after consuming the peaches of immortality, the pills of immortality, and then surviving the crucible of Lao Zi's 8-trigram furnace, Wukong is essentially unkillable. He's been crushed by mountains, incinerated by divine fire, and blasted by the full force of heaven's armies. But he always comes back without a scratch. His body has been hardened by the gods themselves, making him impervious to most forms of harm. So while Superman's durability is about tanking crazy levels of damage, Wukong's is about never staying down, no matter what's thrown at him. What do you think?
Okay, so even if he's unkillable, can he still be incapacitated?
Great question, Johnny. While Sun Wukong's multiple forms of immortality make him incredibly hard to kill, the stories do suggest that he can be incapacitated under certain conditions, even if he can't be permanently harmed or killed. For instance, trapped under a mountain. In one of the most famous stories, Buddha himself managed to trap Wukong under a mountain, the Five Elements Mountain, for 500 years as a form of punishment. Wukong wasn't hurt or killed, but he was definitely immobilized and unable to escape until the time was right. Magic and seals. Wukong's been temporarily subdued by powerful spells and seals. These don't kill him, but they can restrict his movements or powers for a period of time. So, while Wukong is virtually indestructible and can recover from nearly anything, he can still be contained or immobilized, especially by beings of immense power or through magical means. This gives a slight edge to someone like Superman, who could potentially find a way to contain or outmaneuver Wukong in a battle, even if he can't outright defeat him. Does that change how you see the fight? Or does Wukong's resilience still keep him in the running for you?
Yeah, I'm still leaning towards Superman.
That makes sense, Johnny. Even with Wukong's immortality, the fact that he can be incapacitated or contained gives Superman an opening. Superman's raw power, speed, and durability, especially when we remove his magic vulnerability, make him a serious contender who could find a way to keep Wukong down long enough to claim victory. All right, let's wrap this up with a final thought on the battle. Ready to put a bow on this epic showdown?
Now hold up now, you know what you have to do. Let's go ahead and see what this battle looks like. And make sure you give a definitive winner this time. No draws.
All right, Johnny, let's dive into the full-on, high-detail battle scenario. We'll break this fight down moment by moment, showcasing both Superman's and Wukong's abilities, and I'll give you a definitive winner based on everything we've covered. Buckle up, because this is going to be epic. The setting. The battlefield is set on an ancient, mystical landscape. Think floating mountains, swirling clouds, and a sky that shifts from day to night in the blink of an eye. This terrain is as unpredictable as the two combatants, with both physical and mystical elements at play. Round 1. The initial clash. Superman and Sun Wukong face each other, sizing up their opponent. Superman, ever the Boy Scout, gives a nod of respect, but his eyes are focused, scanning Wukong for any sign of weakness. Wukong, on the other hand, grins mischievously, twirling his Jingu Bang like a baton. Superman wastes no time. In a flash, he's charging Wukong, moving faster than the eye can see. But just as Superman's about to land a punch that could shatter mountains, Wukong vanishes, transforming into a tiny insect that flits out of reach. Superman's fist slams into the ground, creating a massive crater, but Wukong reappears above him, enlarging his staff to its full size and bringing it down with divine force. Superman barely has time to react, catching the staff just before it crushes him. The force of the impact sends shockwaves across the battlefield, but Superman holds firm, using his strength to push Wukong back. Wukong retreats, smirking, clearly impressed but not deterred. Round 2, Magic versus Might. Realizing that Wukong's not just relying on brute strength, Superman switches tactics. He flies into the sky, his eyes glowing with heat vision, and unleashes a barrage of solar-powered beams. Wukong dodges effortlessly, using his cloud somersault to leap across the battlefield, each jump covering miles in an instant. Wukong counters with his own brand of magic. He creates dozens of clones, each armed with their own Jingu Bang, and they swarm Superman from all directions. Superman fights them off, using his speed and strength to shatter the clones, but they just keep coming. The real Wukong stays out of reach, observing Superman's moves. But Superman isn't overwhelmed. He taps into his full strength, creating a shockwave that obliterates the clones in one fell swoop. Before Wukong can create more, Superman closes the distance and lands a punch that sends Wukong flying across the battlefield. Round 3, the turning point. Wukong recovers midair, transforming into a massive dragon, his scales shimmering with mystical energy. He charges at Superman, breathing fire that scorches the landscape. Superman braces himself, using his freeze breath to counter the flames. But Wukong's dragon form is relentless. Superman decides it's time to end this. He flies higher, breaking through the atmosphere, and then dives back down with the force of a meteor. As he nears Wukong, he unleashes his full speed, becoming a blur of motion. Wukong tries to dodge, but Superman's too fast. He lands a devastating blow that sends Wukong crashing into the ground, creating a crater the size of a small city. Wukong, in his dragon form, is stunned but not out. He reverts to his original form, breathing heavily, but his eyes are still full of fire. He summons the last of his magic, trying to trap Superman in enchanted chains, but Superman breaks free with sheer force of will. Round 4, the final blow. Superman, seeing that Wukong is weakened but not defeated, prepares for one final strike. He draws in energy from the sun, his body glowing with power, and charges at Wukong with all his might. Wukong, knowing he can't match Superman's strength in his current state, decides to outmaneuver him instead. Wukong leaps into the air, using his cloud somersault to stay just out of reach, but Superman's speed is too much. Superman closes the gap in an instant and lands a punch that connects with Wukong's chest, sending him hurtling into the ground once more. This time, Wukong doesn't get up. He's not dead. His immortality prevents that, but he's too weakened to continue the fight. Superman stands over him, breathing heavily but victorious. Conclusion: in this scenario, Superman emerges as the definitive winner. While Wukong's magic, trickery, and immortality make him a formidable opponent, Superman's sheer power, speed, and ability to adapt in battle give him the edge. Wukong's immortality ensures that he can't be killed, but Superman's relentless assault leaves him incapacitated, unable to continue the fight. So there you have it, Johnny. Superman takes the win in this epic showdown. What do you think? Did it turn out the way you expected?
I was still hoping Wukong would win, but we did handicap him when we removed Superman's weakness. But I think if we kept it, Wukong would have made light work of Superman with his magic.
I'm with you on that, Johnny. If we kept Superman's vulnerability to magic in play, Wukong would have had a serious upper hand. His mastery of magic and trickery would likely have turned the tide, making it much harder for Superman to keep up or even land a decisive blow. Wukong's magical abilities could have easily overwhelmed Superman, especially considering the sheer variety of spells and transformations he has at his disposal. So yeah, if we were playing by all the rules, Wukong could have made light work of Superman, turning the Man of Steel into a real underdog in this matchup. But hey, this was all about exploring the what-if scenario, and even though Superman pulled through this time, it's clear Wukong's magic is a game changer. All right, Johnny, let's wrap this up. Thanks for tuning in. This has been one wild ride, breaking down the epic clash between Superman and Sun Wukong. We explored every angle, every crazy feat, and even took some creative liberties to see how this battle would go down. Remember, if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more epic showdowns. We've got plenty more battles on the horizon, so stay tuned. Until next time, keep those ideas coming, stay awesome, and we'll catch you in the next video.